Good morning, everybody. We will call this last board meeting in August to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The minutes from August 24th. Anybody have any changes, corrections?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Ketchmark?
Yes, thank you. Page 2 of 4, toward the bottom, it's about third paragraph from the bottom, talks about Planning Commission denying the rezoning there at Dean Lake, and I would like added that Rockford Township was opposed to the rezoning. The rezoning was not in the land use plan, and it was confirmed that this rezoning would make it easier to develop more lots in the future. And with that, I'd make a motion to accept those minutes with that addition.
Mr. Chair, I also have something I would like to add.
Commissioner Wetter?
Page 2, about 2/3 of the way down under planning and zoning, Sean Riley, where it starts with Wetter. Also add that I thought Wright County allows for one tier of development around lakes, and that would be the answer to why Greg Kreiser talked about the land use plan.
Okay.
And I'll make the motion to accept the minutes
You'll
with
second it?
those two additions.
You'll second it?
I'll second, okay.
I actually have a clarification too.
It was one of those days.
So under, this was under the advisory committee, advisory board updates. And just to clarify that it's instead of local emergency management, because we do have emergency management, this was the local emergency medical services committee, so for Ketchmark. So it's emergency medical, EMS, emergency medical services.
All right. Any other? I have a motion by Commissioner Ketchmark, second by Commissioner Wetter. Angie, you got all that? Got it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approval of the agenda. Does anybody have anything to add to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Vetch. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they would like removed for further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Ketchmark. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Timed agenda items. Mr. Virgil Hawkins. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Board of Commissioners. Two highway items for your consideration this morning. The first one is a request approval of agreement 2156 with the City of Hanover for future Highway 19 improvements. And this is a project that's in our 5-year plan for construction in year 2024. And the City of Hanover approved this agreement at their council meeting Monday, August 2nd.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement number 2156 with the City of Hanover for future construction in 2023-2024.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Is there any further discussions?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Ketchmark.
just for the record to add in that the local option sales tax revenue may be used subject to it being extended beyond December of 2022.
Correct.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Wetter.
I called the administrator of Hanover the other day, And I was concerned because I guess I don't exactly agree with the plan the way it's stated. Anyways, I understood talking to him that the WSB engineer, their engineer would be actually the planner and do the engineering. And also in talking to him, I was concerned about the huge debt load on the small city of Hanover. But the cost of that it's 25% of the total.
Right. The way our funding policy is, the county's funding policy for major construction, the city pays their share of their items, just like Monticello, Otsego, Albertville has over the years for all the projects we've done in those cities. That was adopted in 2014.
So it's the leg. They have one leg, so that's where that funding, or that requirement comes from.
There's city utilities, there's sidewalk, curb and gutter,
Stormwater.
lighting. There's a whole litany of different items that are city items according to our funding policy.
Well, in talking to Brian Hagan, he suggested that they'd probably go, since it's more of a regional type of road construction, because actually Hanover didn't create all the traffic on that road. It's mainly St. Michael and Albertville. And so they were looking at probably regional grant funding of some sort through some sort of, source. And the rest they'd have to probably borrow. But I guess also he said that they were already scheduling about 20 outreach meetings talking to the landowners along the way, the businesses, the people in the city and all that. So I just wanted to give a little bit more information what I found out yesterday.
Right, that's all sounds accurate. We had a corridor study done that studied all of Highway 19 from St. Michael through Hanover, and out of that corridor study, there were some different concepts that what the project might look like, but the detailed design for it getting constructed is going to be done by the city engineer, and they wanted to take the lead on the public outreach to meet with residents, and that's all outlined in this agreement that they would do that.
With Hanover's new development, they're going to be adding to it also.
Some, but not as huge
Well,
as St. Michael.
There's quite a few housing.
Yeah, in the
units that are gonna be going
Dunnick
But
pit.
once 94 is done, I think a lot of the people from the St. Michael Albertville area will be using 94 again.
Yeah.
Just right now during the construction. But that's been since I lived on that County Road 19 as a kid. And whenever 94 was backed up, traffic increased on 19. So, I mean,
Even on our
that's
road.
just from the people out of the city, so,
Mr.
Our
Chair,
commuters.
yes.
Commissioner Wetter, I've heard a lot of similar type issues from other cities, and I've actually had a discussion with Virgil earlier last week about maybe a discussion here when we were looking at the local option sales tax and having to maybe carve off a small portion of it that can be allocated out to certain projects that these cities and townships can apply for grant funds. Because if our infrastructure is great and theirs isn't, or if they can't afford to put the infrastructure in at the rate that we are because they don't have the same funding mechanism, we're going to run into issues. So this is kind of one of a discussion that maybe we have to take $500,000 or $600,000 of the annually out of the sales tax that the cities and townships on a project by project basis ahead of time can apply for. Because I mean, we're carrying that forward, but we can discuss that at another time, so.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Ketchmark.
and that might be something to take to our presentation for the local option sales tax, is that type of proposal that for the cities that is out there in case they don't know about that potential option.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Wetter.
but I thought you would have to list that project on the list for the local. So you could still do that even, So you would approve the grant?
So what you would do
Ahead of
is,
time?
yep, well, you'd ask them to apply for the based on projects, and then basically for the next 5 years, you'd choose project 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the next 5 years, and they would get those funds, then you'd list it publicly out there. And
Yeah,
Well, and it would be in conjunction with what the highway would be doing anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's special.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Vetch and Commissioner Wetter, one thing when you're dealing with the public hearing, you're not limited to just having that public hearing every 5 years. You can do it every year if you want and update that list. So you could do a grant submittal for, let's say, you could do a grant application request in 2022, have the public hearing in November of 22, and then go out for bid with those projects in 23 that were successful.
It could
So you
be
can
that
update
soon.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
you can update it periodically. You just have to have a public hearing to add the projects to that list.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, any further discussions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Okay, thank you. The second item today from Highway is the distribution of our Highway Department annual report, which is an excellent document.
it is.
Compiled and put together by mainly Patsy, our highway accountant, does an excellent job at it. And I'm just distributing it today for your review. And then next week, I'd like to have you accept it. Subject to any review comments you find, let me know and we could.
Okay,
It was a lot of information, so, wow. Took a long time to put that together, I'm sure. It was very, very well done. Thank you.
all right.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Virgil.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I
Commissioner Kidd.
didn't have that meeting on my calendar. set
What
for
meeting?
Tuesday, September, just accept it at the,
Yeah, we haven't made a decision yet here.
okay. All right, so we can just review it. Got it.
Items for consideration, administration.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As we're getting down to the last few days of our budget process thus far that we have scheduled, I thought it might be good to consider adding at least one more date for further discussion. Kind of a casual poll of calendars. It appeared that Monday, the 13th would work in the late morning prior to Human Services Board. We could look at other times if there were conflicts there, but that's what I would propose at this time would be the September 13th, which is a Monday at 11 a.m.
Commissioner Houston, does that work for you, that date?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any conflicting issues with that date?
I'll make a motion to set that Budget Committee of the Whole for September 13th at 11 a.m.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Wetter. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Broadband Committee meeting, is this for a Committee of the Whole?
I believe we were just planning to have the Broadband Committee, the smaller group,
Oh, okay.
and then I just suggested again a couple dates and times. I know your 13th is filling up. Perhaps we could consider the 14th. Just wanted to get a date on the calendar to continue discussion.
Now, is that company still coming in on the 13th and 14th?
At this time, that's the plan, yes.
Okay.
You have the 14th of the board meeting?
That's fine.
Workshop.
Oh, a workshop, I mean, how robust is the workshop? I haven't seen the,
We'll set items for the workshop at the next board meeting. Right now, without adding, we had some discussions about adding CMRP, an overview of that work plan. There was some discussion about following back around on the property out at the fair, and there's questions about the insurance on that, which I know Tim had followed up on. I don't know if we want more discussion on that, and then other items that would wish to be added.
Did Tim just send me the email regarding the cost of the insurance for out at the fairgrounds, or did the rest of you see that?
I didn't see it.
Okay, I'll get that forwarded to you. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It was like about $10,000. And it has a very good, I don't remember, it was 500,000 or $1 million or something like that on valuations of the property, so.
So you have CMRP and property discussion are the two that are on there right now for the workshop?
Correct.
Okay, so then we could easily set it for like, kind of like a 10:30 broadband.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to set the broadband committee on the September 14th, that Tuesday at 10:30 a.m.
I'll second that.
Alrighty. Motion by Commissioner Batch, second by Commissioner Ketchmark. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Committee minutes. Commissioner Hewson.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Personnel and Employee Relations Committee met on August 25th, and Commissioner Delyden, myself, Sean Johnson were there as the members, and we also had Tim Dahl, Sarah Gocius, Matt Treichler, Sean Derringer, Holly Wilson, Lori Pollock, and Jennifer Rassett. And the discussion was on the minor child exposure remote worker guidelines. And because of the schools not particularly setting mandates about masks and different other guidelines, so this came up because Human Resources Director was approached by employees because currently children under the age of 11 are not eligible to receive vaccinations, and so they're asking for the potential of remote working if an employee is found with their child is sent home and they need to be quarantined for perhaps up to 10 days. And so we had some discussion. Sean Johnson has been working with Tim Dahl to try to come up with some guidelines or how to handle this. And, who are the eligible staff, because not everyone is eligible for remote working. And Commissioner Chairman Delyden said that his concerns are that parents, staff may not feel comfortable leaving their child if they need to be quarantined, regardless of their age. My concern is that because the majority of our employees are not eligible to have this option, that I wanted to have something that would be fair across the board. So we couldn't quite agree on that, and so the Sarah Gocius, our public health director, was speaking about the policies going forward. So there's going to be, no real tracking measures in place as far as COVID and that kind of thing. So it all kind of played into that. But we had a lengthy discussion, and essentially what the recommendation was to move forward by conducting an anonymous employee COVID vaccination survey. So this will help us gather information about who of our employees have children ages 11 and under, and to gather more information on compensation option for employees that are not able to work remotely, the planning strategies in case of a surge of absence of staff, encourage employees to follow masking guidelines that the CDC is recommending, and request to the county board to set a committee of the whole meeting for further discussion and recommendations to the board. So that's kind of essentially what the long minutes boil down to. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendation. And hopefully we can find a meeting time.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hewson, second by Commissioner Batch. Any further discussions? I think that because this is kind of a major decision, and instead of a committee coming up with it and then bringing it to the board, it would be
Yep.
best suited, I think, for a committee of the whole personnel meeting. And my guess is we were gonna wanna do this sooner than later because of school beginning next week, I believe.
Yep, some are starting this week.
Or are they? Yeah, if the sheriff's office and the highway department would allow their employees to work from home, if we could get those truck driver, or those snowplow drivers and those sort of things, and the deputies somehow to work from home, I guess it just doesn't work for some reason.
It
If
doesn't.
you get the criminals to work from home, it might be doable.
Good answer.
Good point.
Good answer.
We want to vote on
What,
this first? You want to vote on this first,
Vote, oh,
on the minutes and recommendations?
yeah, we can make yeah. Any further discussions on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. So I would like to set a committee of the whole for that. What do we have on the 7th?
I only have board meeting on my calendar.
Anybody have anything after the board meeting on the 7th?
but I could,
Probably make
I
it
gotta
work.
be someplace at 11, so. Fortunately, it's the first day of school, so it's
Oh, yeah, you're your first
yeah,
day of school.
I've got like an army of kids at teacher meetings.
Mr. Chair, I won't be available either
Okay.
after the
Be
board.
Wednesday morning, or that's committee day.
Well, we have another, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything scheduled for the 8th. Although I'm not going to be able to be around on the 8th. But we have EDA on the 9th.
Yeah,
You see that they moved Trailblazer to Buffalo at 9?
Yep.
Okay, so
Um,
we could go after EDA on Thursday.
is the EDA going to be at 11, or do we make a different time for that one? Or-
no,
EDA is 11.
till 11.
I'm not available that day or the 10th.
Okay?
I'd be available after, but not before.
EDA?
Yeah.
Well, there'd be 4 of us, I mean,
Good on the 8th in the afternoon.
but you're not available on the 8th.
And the 7th, you have commitments to, you said?
He's not available the 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th, so.
Or are you going to be to the board meeting on the
Yep,
7th?
I'll be there.
How about this Friday?
Or how about the 6th?
Friday. We could meet,
Labor Day, we can't meet that day.
we could meet Friday, that'd give us 3 days
Why
notice.
not?
We could. I don't know. I don't know what the employee rules
Yeah,
are on making them come in on a holiday. It might be very
I don't
costly.
think we can bring our employees
You
in.
tell me to be here, I'll be here.
Friday the 3rd, you're thinking?
Yeah, Friday the 3rd, I'm good.
In
If
the
we go in the morning,
Mm-hmm. 9?
because we don't have Bertram this Friday, don't we?
No, it's next week, on the
Which,
10th.
which day are you suggesting?
Friday the
Friday.
3rd?
3rd, I'm open.
Lee?
Making sure everybody's here quickly.
John? Mr. Johnson, you online?
Because that's Labor Day.
Does the 3rd work for you? Okay, will you be able to have all the information gathered by Thursday?
That's the thing.
Or Friday, I mean?
The survey results.
The survey,
Has the survey gone out yet?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So any employees that haven't answered the survey yet, please
Yeah.
get to that.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Sean, if it's okay, we could send out a reminder that everyone needs to get their surveys in. So because we're gonna have the discussion about it on Friday. So hopefully that will help encourage people to get it turned in.
We've had a good response rate as of this morning. We had
Good.
over 600, so
Oh,
How
yay.
many?
623 is what I'm told.
Wow, wonderful.
That's really amazing.
Yeah.
So
Quite.
thank you, staff, for stepping up. and
Yep. So what time? You want 6:30?
Yeah, I'm good with that now.
No,
6:30?
9?
We're gonna go to the
8:30,
Vietnam
9?
thing on Thursday night, so I don't want to be real early for our anniversary.
9 o'clock, okay?
9's great.
9?
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to set a personnel committee of the whole for Friday, September 3rd at 9 a.m.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Betts, second by Commissioner Ketchmark. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. You'll get that posted then?
Yep, we'll get that out today to meet the posting requirement, and then updated survey. It looks like I misspoke here. We were closer to 500 on the survey results, which is still a really nice
That's
number.
really good still.
Given our population. I know we've had some discussions up in administration based on the discussion at the previous personnel committee about a policy for some extended leave, potentially just for consideration, that we'll bring to that meeting then too. So
Okay.
more to come.
Wonderful. Thank you. Did we vote on that yet?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Charlotte Martha, Subordinate Service District Public Hearing. Commissioner Wetter.
I just call it the sewer district.
Okay.
Thank you. We met, 3 commissioners on August 25th for a public hearing. That was Christine Hewsome, Mark Deline, and me. First of all, the Chief Deputy County Attorney Brian Asleson explained what a subordinate service district actually was. The purpose being to provide services at a higher level to a select area than are provided generally throughout the county. The Minnesota statute requires the services to be paid for by revenues from within that district. Counties may issue bonds for the capital projects in subordinate service districts. However, the fees to support the bonds must be imposed until the bonds are repaid. So the sewer district was formed in November 2000, and the county purchased bonds in 2001 to fund it. Charges for landowners connecting to the sewer service were established in August of 2001. Some landowners made a single payment and others paid the charge over 20 years. Residents then added connections after 2002 and had to finance the connections on their own. Those individuals paid a trunk charge, and the bonds were refinanced in 2011, and that was at a cost savings and lower interest rates. The supplemental service charge is necessitated by a shortfall in the dedicated fund for the sewer district. The bonds were nearly paid off with the last payment due in 2022. And due to the shortfall, the county has made the most recent bond payment and the supplemental service charge, and those would have to be reimbursed to the county. The proposed service charge is $2,700 per connection or future connection, and the landowner could either choose to make a single payment of $2,700 or spread that payment over 3 years at an interest rate of 4%. So several of the public spoke and asked mainly questions, and it came up, one of the questions was what was actually the shortfall, and that's approximately $422,700. And the reason for some of the shortfall was the unexpected additional easement across a property for the main line, and also less development in the area than what was anticipated. And then also they had decided that the interest on the people paying over those 20 years would also help finance. And there was unexpectedly more people that paid it up front, so they lost that interest amount. Also, some of the people asked exactly where they could read all about the sewer service, and Brian Asleson told them it was in Minnesota statute 375B as in boy. So it was decided at the end of the meeting, after there was several, people that asked questions. Nobody really spoke against it. We got a few letters that were upset over the payment, but
Letters?
letters.
There were a few that submitted
Emails.
comment that we attached to the minutes here.
They were
Oh.
attached to the minutes.
Okay. I guess I didn't see those.
Brian Asleson stated that he will work with finance and taxpayer services to create an assessment list. And that would include the owner's name, the parcel number, and the amount that they would owe. That would be brought before the county board to set the amount of the assessment, the interest rate, and a specified date payment that would be due. We also thought that this would be figured out by October 12th so that it would allow the landowners 30 days to pay without incurring interest charges. And that concludes the minutes. I would make the motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Waters, second by Commissioner Houston. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Advisory committees, advisory board updates. Administrator Kelly.
All right. Just a couple quick things. As you know, our broadband survey has been out for a while. We're looking at close to 5,000 surveys getting gathered with that, so we will touch on that as we have our broadband meeting. I think we've got a really good sampling from the group, the county. I think it helped communicating that out to our website and through the schools, cities, and townships. So glad to see that response. We'll revisit that at the upcoming broadband meeting. I'll defer this one to Commissioner Vetch. I thought we had a very good meeting last Thursday with both Department of Public Safety and Department of Vehicle Services, both some of their top brass, and kind of the discussion about reopening a testing facility in Wright County. There seems to be a good movement that's been made on that, and I'll let you talk to the rest of that. I appreciate that getting set up for discussion. I mentioned as part of the workshop that we'll talk about CMRP a little bit. I did have the opportunity yesterday to meet with Mr. Bill Kemp, who's been hired on as the consultant to help facilitate the work plan of CMRP, and had a good discussion as he's trying to get a good understanding of the players and build those relationships and build a path forward. So just a few things going on as we continue through budget period as well. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Ketchmark.
Thank you. Only thing I had for the week was 2 field trips, site inspections for planning and zoning, and those items will be addressed at this week's planning commission meeting on Thursday. That's all I have.
Commissioner Wetter.
Okay, I had a meeting on August 26th. Was the Water Management Task Force. I don't know if you're aware, but because of the USDA is also in that building, they're separate building, the SWCD and all that. There is a mask mandate in there, so if you do go in there, you have to wear a mask. Okay, let's see, North Fork Crow River, they did a data update. The PTM app, which is what prioritizes, targets, and measures the different areas, it was improved, but not perfect yet. So it's been redone, that app, but it's not, Alicia mentioned it wasn't exactly perfect in her eyes. This would suggest the areas to work on and show the grant dollars and also cost estimates. So that's a handy tool for them. Then we talked about streamlining the implementation and looking at the regions and working the work plan and prioritizing. And this would be done by the another committee at another time. The Mississippi St. Cloud One Watershed One Plan, as you know, they applied through Bowser, and that has been approved, so there'll be more about that. The South Fork Crow River One Watershed One Plan, they believe at this point that approval is probably going to happen, but it's not, they haven't gotten the black and white letter yet that says that it's a go. We talked about the 12-mile 319 grant, and they're finishing the assessment. They're right now reporting from the federal EPA, and then it would go to the state and then to the SWCD. And I don't know if everybody knows what the 12-mile is, but that's Waverly Lake to Grass Lake. And then a little bit about the American Rescue Plan. They were very happy about some of the ditches and programs that the commissioners had approved of. And so that went good. And we talked a little bit about the NRCS local work group summary, and that turned out to be a fairly good time. It was the most people that ever attended, and I talked about that before. Then they also did a Starry Trek, and what that is volunteers go to certain lakes and they go out into the waters and they see if there's any of that particular invasive out there, and they found 0. So that's good news in the county, and that ends my report.
Okay, Commissioner Houston.
All right, yeah, I don't really have any advisory committee meetings, but just some little fact, we got the July stats from our law library. They're really busy. They had 385 visits or requests in July. So anything from adoption, attorney or public research, child custody and parenting, child support, conciliation, divorce, dissolution. So anyway, a lot of, they're very busy. And some of those also included 6 from inmate requests. So, but that's, if you ever, want to see what they all are, I'd be happy to forward her information, but anyway, that's all I have.
The facility in Anoka that we and Sherburne County and Anoka County are all partners.
The Regional Crime Lab?
Regional Crime Lab. They used to send us reports And I haven't seen any of those.
I can send that to you. I get them.
Yeah, she used to send them to us every month, in the same report. And I'd like to see them again.
Yeah, I'll send those to you.
So it just, I was always curious on how we got, how
Right.
much utilization we did.
Yep.
Because when it first started out, we were the lowest utilization, and it was ramping up and stuff.
Yeah, and they've they've tried to do some more education for some of the departments about really what to send. So maybe they don't need, 10 items from the same crime, or, so they've tried to do that. But, and obviously, Anoka County is so much larger, but that's why we went to the new funding formula. So we'll probably, with our population growing, we'll probably, have more of a responsibility, so we'll see what happens. But.
Okay, Commissioner Vetch.
So as Administrator Kelly said last week, Commissioner Dahlheiden and myself and a number of staff had a meeting with DPS Commissioner Harrington regarding DVS services, driver vehicle services in Wright County and across the state. We had kind of a collective holistic discussion. Really wanted to get some answers about when we could possibly see just testing facilities across the state open, as well as here in Buffalo, and trying to stem that conversation about them working with us in the new government center. We were given some really good contact information. We were given a more definitive timeline through this meeting. Definitely opening up some better discussions and dialogue going forward here. So I think within the next 3 to 6 months, we'll have some really good, solid answers and hopefully robust testing appointments open for the public. So, fingers crossed on that.
It was very optimistic.
And on a different note, I've had still some continued discussions with staff and Shane from Flaherty and Hood on still working out on different funding and grant opportunities. So we're definitely finding some grant opportunities at the state that some of these organizations can apply to first before we come forward before the county for American Rescue Plan funds. So that's looking good. I'm hoping to maybe right now or maybe next week to schedule a committee of the whole to kind of follow back up on some of the ARP funds. I'm kind of targeting like the 21st, maybe on that Tuesday after the board meeting. We should have some good idea coming out of budget on how we redirected funds, as well as we'll have some ideas as to what some of those programs that applied for them earlier that were able to funnel more towards some other opportunities for grants. Just kind of want to circle everybody up back on where we were based on all those original requests. So.
Okay, we'll plan for that.
Yeah, I have a 11:30 conflict, but maybe before that.
Just wanted to kind of get out there just because it seems like our schedules are all filling up really quick. So we can get a date in there
Yeah.
sooner than later to kind of target it out. So with that, that's all I have.
Is anybody going up to Arrowwood,
Oh,
for the fall policy committee meetings?
I'm not.
Okay, if you are, then you can get registered for that.
Too much going on.
I know that feeling. And then last week on Wednesday, Commissioner Vetch was able to get in a little bit regarding a broadband conversation with one of the commissioners from Hennepin County regarding working together for the Dayton, Otsego, Rogers, St. Michael, Rockford, over in that area, and who they utilize and how they've been working with it. They've been working with the companies themselves on trying to work with things with sharing some of the cost and that sort of stuff. Commissioner
Anderson did have some really good, their staff there.
Yeah.
Because They have a lot of the same issues that we have on the eastern side of our county where yes, there's services there, but the services
very
are
good.
not very good.
In
But unfortunately,
in the Rockford area, Greenfield area.
but they're just good enough at that 25 meg speed to not qualify for any granting opportunities either, so.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that they were talking about is also sending information, I think was it the Fed level or the state level regarding that down to load speed, not load speed. May have been okay when it was first out, but nowadays it's not enough. So they want to get that changed too. So they'll provide us with, or I believe they'll be providing Elizabeth with what they're going to be doing with sending letters so that we can also do the same thing so that we're all consistent doing so we're all on the same page everywhere.
Well, and, you know, I don't know if you've explored or further explored the Meeker Cooperative, that they seem to be pretty robust on the western side of the county, or on their eastern side, but
Yep.
our western side of the county. And I, you know, would love to, as I said before, you know, help South Haven out because they have not, because of their size, they haven't qualified for the CARES funding or for the ARP.
Yeah, no, I think that
And
we
they-
have every intention
they-
of working with them.
They don't need that much, so hopefully we can get them something this time around.
I would think that between the two of us, we'll be able to come up with something in the future here.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
And it's government, so, you know, it'll only
Yep.
take 5 or 6 years to get it done.
That all?
Commissioner Wetter?
Yes, I've gotten many, many emails, and phone calls about broadband and that, especially when Midco went through most of the county to Greenfield. And it being so close and they couldn't connect onto it, like right past their house and not connecting.
Well, I heard Rockford Township couldn't come up to an agreement with them.
Well,
But I don't know the whole
yeah,
truth or anything.
there's a lot to that, and basically, it's what they did in Corinna for Midco to go through. The townships don't have, anything, they don't have any of the legal authority to do anything within, is what I got told now. I don't know if this is true, but, they can't do anything in the ditches. They're only responsible for their gravel roads or their roads, getting rid of the snow, making sure they're clear and that sort of thing. So they had to actually go to the owner of the land and get permission from them, and then they could go through. They took, I think it was a state rule or something, and could go that way.
Well,
A lot
it's
of
through.
landowners.
So then, the township would have had to been Minco. That would have had to go to the residents.
Yeah, Midco themselves had to go to and ask.
But
Get
that still
permission.
doesn't explain why they couldn't come with a franchise agreement or something.
I don't
But
there
understand
was-
that either, except that,
Well, with the other,
Rockford Township.
we have contacted the League of Minnesota Townships in St. Michael,
Okay,
and they don't provide any information. So we are, as part of the broadband committee, we're working on something to try boilerplate or something to have for the township so they don't have to reinvent the wheel.
yeah, and I talked to like the chair of the board there, and they seemed quite confused whether representatives from Midco actually would talk to them or whatever. I don't know if they didn't understand or Midco kind of felt,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
Well,
For me, I don't know either, because this is secondhand.
It was a mixed bag on both sides from a franchise agreement and an easement agreement and who had the authority on that case. And that's where we're working on trying to get some legal clarification so we can give at least some direction to the townships and then be able to point them in the direction to some firms then that can maybe move that along in the future much more efficiently.
I think Zane was trying to come up with something, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But yeah, hopefully we can get it so that everybody in the county will be served and have choices too, which would be the other nice thing.
Well, I would appreciate more than one.
Yeah, I want to be in
For speed tests.
I want to be in Monticello where they've got 3 options. All right. Anything else?
No, but that's my speed test of one.
And we are adjourned at 9:50.